There it
So
is.
here we are.
Woohoo!
We're doing the one thing that nobody else does in their podcasts. A non-traditional opening.
Oh yeah.
Because they all got
guess.
traditional openings. Walk-off guys do. Blue Jays Digest people do. Blue Jays Today people do. Ball Cap Sports people do. We're going to hashtag all those people because we wanted them to see what we're doing. Because we want
They used to
start
have another one on Three's Company. Jack used to ride a bike, you know.
He couldn't ride that bike. He kept falling down on the bike. Every episode, right at the beginning, he'd fall down in the sand.
It's because the hot girls kept walking by. And you know what? Okay, I found something out. We've already wavered. But the brunette that was walking by when he falls off the bike was actually Suzanne Summers in a brunette wig.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You know when you go down those rabbit holes on Instagram and it says 50 known fact or little known facts about your favorite TV shows, whatever.
There's two things I don't do: is Instagram and TikTok. Never have.
Oh.
Like
once in a while,
I have Instagram, and I've looked at it sometimes because I had a few people who messaged me on it, and I'm like, okay, I'll respond back to some friends, but generally, I don't care. And there were some pictures I've been taking. Like, I didn't know. I still don't know exactly how to take pictures and not have them go instantly onto Instagram. And I've taken some pictures that should not have been on Instagram.
How do I find an old filter on this one here?
I've already taken them all out. So,
there was there was some good ones. It was like the 30 biggest ripoffs in sports, like essentially calls that went the other way. In the top 10, there was two very prominent baseball ones. If you want to sort of go on that one, that like little idiot kid, the 12-year-old kid who pulled the home run over for Derek Jeter.
Oh yeah.
Jeffrey Meyer, and then also
Steve Bartman.
No, they didn't say that one because there was 90 people going in for that ball, and he gets blamed for it, and they made his life like pure tragedy after that, and then they realized that they did that. No, the ump that called the guy safe against Galarraga on
for the perfect game.
Yeah. And the ump immediately said, "I'm sorry, I got that wrong." That's the only person.
Let me talk about umps because something actually happened. Like, we're taping this on the Monday. I was watching the Blue Jays spring training game against the Phillies. They lost 4-2, but something happened in that game that I've never ever seen, and I guarantee we will never ever see again. Here's what happened. Okay, so it kind of has to do with the pitch clock deal with people getting used to it. So Kimbrel's on the mound, right? And the clock goes down to 0. So the umpire calls a ball, right? And Kimbrel's fucking pissed. So the ump throws a ball to him, and there's a shot of him walking around with the ball, and he's checking the ball. And as usual, he's like, I don't like this ball, and throws the ball. So then it cuts to a camera shot of the umpire behind JT Realmuto, and he's throwing somebody out of the game. And we're like what the hell just happened? Like, what did Kimbrel do? This is what happened. It's okay. So Kimbrel throws the other ball away, and the previous pitch, the umpire had thrown the ball to Kimbrel, right? Like, I guess when it was 2-1 or whatever the count was, he was the one throwing the ball to the pitcher after he had thrown it to the plate, okay? Because it was a foul ball for whatever reason. He was the last guy to throw it. So then again, this happens. JT Realmuto had his glove out to catch like this to catch the ball, put in his glove so he can throw it. But then you remembered, oh yeah, the guy didn't put him. He just threw it last time, so he put his glove down as the umpire was throwing the ball into the glove. So he missed the glove. The umpire fucking threw him out of the game. Just threw him out of the game.
For what?
The only thing that Buck could figure out, because Buck was like, what the hell is going on? So Martinez, like, the only thing he could figure out is that he thought he was trying to show up because he had the glove, and right when the ball was going to be put in it, Realmuto pulled his glove back. But the thing is, Realmuto
so like the old handshake with the old, ooh.
Yeah, but he wasn't looking at him. He was looking at Kimbrel. He was doing that the usual, like, okay, give me the ball, thank you very much, I'm going to throw it kind of thing, right? Like all catchers do. So he wasn't even looking at the ump when he did it, and he did it, and the ump's like, you're out of here. And JC Realmuto, like, he takes his mask off. He gets me, goes, what? Like, I've never seen a ball player look more confused as to what just happened, and the look on JT Realmuto's face after he got tossed for moving his glove in the wrong
Well, that's
direction.
because
He
there
basically
was a
got
guy
thrown
in a
out.
white shirt in the outfield holding up a sign saying "Drop your glove,"
Yeah.
and he saw it that quickly. Yeah.
It was basically like he thought he was showing him up. Like, really? You really think he's trying to show you up in a spring training game?
Game.
Like,
Yeah.
first of all, you don't see many ejections in a spring training game in general because it's a spring training game.
Doesn't happen. Yeah.
But then you do it to the best catcher in baseball, who just dropped this, like, made him a whoop-de-doos, and he's like, "Hey, and everyone's like, what?" Rob Thompson comes out. He's like, what are you doing? And you could tell right after that happened, the crew chief comes from second base, and then the umpire just kind of like,
yeah,
and kind of walks away from the whole situation. And they're looking like, oh. And he looks kind of like, I think I just fucked up. I think I did something wrong here. He did. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on a baseball field.
I haven't had a chance to watch at least for like about 4 or 5 days. I haven't had a chance. I've literally just looked
like 3 hours ago. Like,
yeah.
Literally like at 3:30. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay. They're gonna start fixing the door now, so we're gonna get some noise going on. By the way.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Just that
the fan's just gone on in the back. As you can see, we're recording, both of us, out of pristine studios, and you know, a lot of money involved in this broadcast. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we're not worried. They're not gonna be too loud.
No.
I know I can hear my earplays anyway. It's about time I had some noise going on, and you were doing noise going on. So.
Well, let's chat the baseball classic, the World Baseball Classic.
Oh,
what a way to end it.
That last game was brilliant. There were some people who thought it was a terrible baseball game. It wasn't. You know why they thought it was a terrible baseball game? And you mentioned this when we were talking before we came on air, is because they're not from the United States of America.
Yeah.
Like, if I was a Japanese guy, I'm watching that game. Did you hear how many households watched that game?
Yeah.
In Japan?
Yes. In Japan.
96.4% of televisions were on watching that game in Japan. 96. Holy crap balls. Like, there was over 100 million people. It is the most watched baseball game in the history of baseball. That's what just happened. That's what we saw. And to have it go down to Ohtani versus Trout, I mean, could you have scripted it any better? No.
No, seriously.
Could not have scripted it any better.
I don't know if you saw there's been a like someone put up on Instagram a list that Shohei Ohtani had. Like, it was his bucket list of the things that he wants to accomplish and stuff like that. And it was, make the world baseball, make the Japanese national team, win the MVP of it. And he's also been like some of these he wrote as a kid, and he's checked off a lot. There was a ton that he's checked off.
And this one was, he got it perfect. Age 27 season, win the World Baseball Classic and be named MVP. That's what it said on his sheet, and he did it. Yeah. And there's some people now who are starting to say, like, people were like, I'm not really willing to give Shohei Ohtani best player, but after that whole thing, they're now kind of like, I'm like, I know he's only played a few years, but I'm really going to start saying that maybe he is the best player that ever lived.
No, but that's the thing, is if he concentrates on one aspect of the game, he's already dominant in two. Like, he's already dominant as a batter and as a pitcher. But if he takes time to concentrate on just one, like say they move him to, when he's older, to designated hitter, that guy's going to be insane.
Yeah. I saw a thing showing how much he would earn as a pitcher or as a batter based on what he's already done. Yeah. As a pitcher, he's already earned himself like a 10-year, $333 million contract. As a batter, they said he's earned like an 8-year, $220 million contract. So basically, he is going to be the first $500 million player.
Yeah.
Because he's going to earn ridiculous. He's going to earn $50 million a year.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not, because that would take him, because he's not young.
No, because he played a few years in the J League, right? Yeah, so like but I mean, we're counting it's what, his fourth season in Major League Baseball.
How old is Ohtani now?
He's 27.
He is 27.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
27.
So yeah, then he can sign a 10-year contract, no problem.
Yeah,
Another thing, if he can continue to do either or both of them for the next 5 years, I'll give him that. By far
yeah.
best player. By far.
Well, to solidify the championships here, the first one, the second one, Japan won. The third one, Dominican Republic won.
Yep.
The fourth one, the U.S. won, and then the fifth one, Japan won. So the U.S. has won one, and then been a runner-up to Japan,
Mhm.
and Japan's won three.
Yeah, and that's the
And
way it kind of should be.
Puerto Rico, Korea, and Cuba have placed as well. But that's the thing, right? Like as I always state,
Well,
you can be a World Series champion if you win the Major League Baseball championship. You're a World Series champion because that
mm,
is completely different than being world champion. This is the world
exactly.
champions. It's
Exactly.
it's it's like
And
world
that's what the
champion
players love
Pittsburgh
about it. They love it.
Steelers, over New Orleans Saints. You're not a world champion. You're
Well, the
NFL
players are
champion.
all over this. They're like the foreign players. Like this is what we wanted to do. Like, it isn't about the
Yeah,
World Series for us. It's about being the best country. Because a lot of
yeah,
these countries are still, not on their best footing. Like Colombia did amazing. I never thought Colombia would have a good team. But I
yeah.
mean, the funniest, like, I know it's a lot of like inserting dudes who have like relatives that go back hundreds of years sometimes
Yeah.
into some of these. The funniest one I found was there was one guy on the Japan team who I never would have thought would have been on the Japanese team. You know who that is? Lars Nootbaar.
If I think Japan, I think Lars.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's like Danish or something. Like he's a Nordic dude, but I guess he has some Japanese blood in there, and he was able to play for the Japanese team. He was one of the guys the Jays were looking at actually over the offseason to take that outfield spot before he got Varsho. He's a good player.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
he
just
does.
surprised. Like a guy named Lars was playing for the Japanese team.
Lars Taylor Tatsuji Nutbar.
Tetsuji.
Tatsuji. That's his middle name.
Well, it's
So
like my friend Isaac. He's half Japanese, half English.
yeah,
Like this is the way it is. He's actually an announcer over there for one of the teams.
yeah.
I found out the other
Japanese
day.
mom, Japanese mom, Dutch German dad, and
Yeah.
grew up in El Segundo, California.
Yeah.
But that's the same as the Israeli team. 90% of them are born in New York
Oh yeah,
because they're Jewish and they can go over and play, right?
Are there any baseball fields in Israel?
I don't know. But I mean,
Like, I don't think there is.
yeah, but
I'd never heard of it.
The Netherlands, it's not a huge baseball thing, but it's because of Curacao and
Well,
they're essentially like the Caribbean territory.
Sam Roberts, who's in with the Jays now in our minor league, isn't he? He's from somewhere up there too. Like he's I'm trying to think if he's Swedish or if he's Nordic. He's a Nordic guy somewhat. Sam Roberts. He's like 21 years old.
It is starting to come around, right? Like because I mean, it is starting to become because it's an easy sport to fund as a parent. Like you don't need a hell of a lot. It's not like
it's like tennis or basketball. Those are the three
yeah.
easiest sports: tennis, basketball, and baseball. Then you get into hockey and then football.
Yeah, and then you're spending money. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how most major league teams or most people can actually afford
and
kids to play
golf.
hockey these days.
You just have to be like a rich douchebag.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so he's from So Sam Roberts is from the Netherlands. There you go.
We've actually had another Dutch guy before.
Yep.
We've had a few Aussies.
But Roberts is the guy who's like he's got some numbers, and he was he had an outside chance of maybe making the AAA. But anyway, so that the at bat between Ohtani and Trout now.
Yeah. And a full on strikeout as well, like blew it by him, like Trout not a called strike.
Overmatched. People were saying that Trout choked. He didn't. Okay, he didn't choke.
No.
He had two balls coming at 100 miles an hour. One was on the outside, right, and he swung and missed. One was right down the middle of the plate, and he just couldn't catch up to it.
Yeah.
And then Ohtani threw an 87 mile per hour slider that just went, and he just missed it. That was it. And Ohtani threw his glove, and the whole thing went crazy. Like it was. Yeah. Now the other thing we were talking about off camera that people bring up about the Classic, it all goes back to what happened with Edwin Diaz.
Yeah.
Edwin Diaz, of course, after the game was won, was jumping up and down and celebrating on the mound and ripped his
and he's out for the season. Yeah.
He is out for the season. Already, the owner, Steve Cohen, has given him a personal trainer, a personal chef, and a personal like doctor or something to stay at his
Yeah,
house to take care of him while he's being recovered. Like that's how Steve Cohen is going to operate. He's going to be
yeah.
the player's manager, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
He's still going to ruin baseball because of his how much he spends on people, but
Yeah,
that's beside the point. But everybody's saying like, oh, see, it's only an exhibition. It's only an exhibition, so he shouldn't have been playing. He should have been in spring training. It's like, well, that could have happened at spring training. It could have happened on a backfield while he was doing exercises. Like,
yeah.
who was it? Glenn Allen Hill that woke up in the middle of the night having nightmares. He ran through
And dreaming of
glass
spiders,
door, dreaming of spiders. Yeah.
and jump through a glass door, and yeah.
Like people just don't seem to get it. And I don't really understand why they don't get it.
I don't
Sorry.
know. Most impact. Okay,
It's
here
like,
we go. Here we go. There's the spring
look,
training
you're saying like,
injuries.
well, Gavin
Chase
Lux, he
Utley,
had, yep.
Chase Utley. At the time, best second baseman. And then literally comes out for more than half the season because of an injury.
Well, look
in
at
spring
Robbie
training.
Ray when he like in 2021, he fell down the stairs and couldn't start for 3 starts because he fell down the stairs with his kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's guys I've seen more than one guy get his finger caught in a suitcase and be off for like 3 months because they fucked up their finger. Jose Altuve is out 10 to 12 weeks because he had a broken hand. But like I said, these are all things that could happen at any time. It's not because of the World Baseball Classic that
No,
they happen.
it's
So
it's
anybody,
because they've been dormant for
yeah.
compared to what they're usually at, like the
See,
the shape they're usually in.
now
You
this
know.
goes to the whole thing of is like, are we actually putting the World Baseball Classic where it should be played? Now, personally, I don't think this is when you should do it. The question is, when do you do it? Now, there is a perfect place to
Yeah.
do it, but they'll never do it. It's All-Star break.
Oh God, yeah, no.
Is you take out a week, right?
Mhm.
Because it's already about a week, as it's more or less a week off as it is.
Yeah.
You take out 8 games. Like they want to go to 154 anyway. So you
Mhm.
take another week of ball. You have 2 weeks in between, and you play the World Baseball Classic as the All-Star break. That way, all the players are already prepped. You can get the best players from every team to play, right? You're not like Canada, who's like desperately trying to find pitching or desperately trying to
But
find like
are you
Abraham
going to get the
Toro.
best? Are you going to get the best? Because well, I mean, you have once every 4 years, then I guess so. You
That's what I'm
forego
saying.
the All Star game those 4 years.
Exactly.
For that one. But I actually like it when it is as well because say you end up having a game between Netherlands and Britain, where generally you're like, I would never watch that game, but because I haven't seen baseball for ages, I will watch that game.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you still watch if you want to watch, you're going to watch it in the middle too. And the thing is,
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is to have each team field the best team because if you keep doing it this way, it's always going to be Japan, Dominican, U.S. pretty much because they're stacked, right?
But that's the powerhouse teams, and eventually it'll
Well,
even
that's what
out.
I'm saying. But the thing is, they've got the depth that they can say, "You're not coming. You're not coming. You're not coming. You're not coming." The other countries, we don't have that depth. Like once, like Tyler O'Neill was a last minute thing.
Mhm.
Bo Naylor, was it or his brother? Which one was it? The catcher came. I think that's Bo, and the guy who plays for the Guardians, who's the first baseman, his other Canadian guy, his brother basically couldn't play or didn't play because he was
Taylor
afraid.
Nyquist. Talking Taylor
No,
Nyquist.
no. Bo Naylor has a brother. Like they're both on the Guardians. One's a catcher, one's a first baseman.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's a Josh Naylor. So Josh
Naylor. I was for some reason I heard you say Taylor. I was like Taylor Nyquist.
Yeah. So Josh Naylor didn't play. Bo did. Right. Tyler O'Neill was a last minute addition. He finally did it. But I mean, we had Abraham Toro as our second baseman, and like Otto Lopez did great at short. And we have some good players that are there, and there will be more coming. There's a good wave of them coming. But I mean, what if we lose one major leaguer, we're screwed. Like when we lost Freddie Freeman, and the only reason we have Freddie Freeman is because he's doing a thing for his mom, and he can't make the U.S. team. I mean, he would have been the U.S. team starting first.
He can make the U.S. team, yeah.
Yeah, he would have because he's like the best first baseman in baseball, pretty much.
Yeah,
and so I like the fact that he's doing things for his mom. I like the fact other players are doing it to represent their countries and their families and all that. I like that whole aspect of it. But we're not getting the best players on each team that can play on each team, and that way you're never going to get because if you want to grow the game, you can't have Japan, Cuba, Dominican, U.S. winning all the time.
But that's the thing.
You need someone else to get in there.
it's gonna sort of even out. Like there has only been five,
Yeah.
right? So it's been going for about 20 years. Like 2006 was the first one. That's it,
Whoa.
right? So
The biggest
think
problem is
of
it's the insurance thing. That's what people are
yeah,
afraid of
but,
is
but
the
think of
insurance.
things like Olympic basketball tournament, Olympic hockey tournament, right? You've always got
Mhm.
your dominant things. You've always got your Canada. You've got your for hockey. You've got Canada. You've got USA. You've got Russia. You got
Yeah.
Sweden. Czech Republic will show up, but then all of a sudden you have those little flashes of brilliance where Germany just one
Or
year
Finland
has a little run in
or
Finland, right?
Norway.
Norway, right?
Yeah.
It's same with basketball. Basketball, it's always going to be US because it's idiot proof.
It will.
You
I
could put
mean,
five kids that are playing in a park in Brooklyn on, and they'll do well. But I mean, like all of a sudden, look at the European nations. Like you've got Spain, Argentina. Like Canada's actually got a pretty good team now too. So
yeah. I mean, our team's not bad. We have pitching issues. We need pitchers, more or
mhm.
less. But I mean,
It's just
we look at Mike Soroka. He was hurt, so he couldn't play. So maybe he'll be in next time, right? Like we had to go back to Adam Lowen and John Axford and Philippe Aumont. These are guys who haven't played in years. Like they
but
haven't played
think
a
of
major league game. They're in the World Baseball Classic because we don't have anybody
anyone.
else to
But
play.
that's what I'm saying is like think of how many Canadians are on teams in the league now. It's literally like I think probably 30 tops
Yeah.
throughout the league.
But I mean,
That's it.
I don't mind some of the minor leaguers either. We got good like
Mhm,
minor leaguers. We got Matt Brash who didn't pitch. We'd have been great,
mhm.
right? And in our bullpen, he would have been a closer for sure. Or Jordan Romano didn't play,
Yeah.
right? Like there's just so many guys who choose not to. You got to give them a incentive to choose to do it because like once our guys choose not to, then our team is dead. You're not
Yeah.
going to win,
Yeah.
and you're not going to
Yeah.
grow the game when you already know your team is not going to win. You got to
Yeah.
have some semblance of like we could do it. And this year, the Canada took a step forward. Mexico made a big step forward. I
Yeah.
didn't think Mexico was going to do as well as they did.
No,
I mean,
but
they
but but
almost beat Japan,
yeah. But
right?
Mexico does have a good solid crop of I
They
mean
do, and they have many leagues all over Mexico. There's
yeah.
so many baseball leagues in Mexico. I mean, I get it, but like Alejandro Kirk didn't play.
Yeah.
There's just all. That's what I mean. There's all these guys that you would want to see play aren't playing. So if you're not going to get all your major league players, then maybe what you should do is make it an amateur tournament instead of
Yeah.
doing it like anybody. So you could do either or. If you do amateur, then it's an even playing field. But if you're going to do major leaguers, then all the major leaguers should be available to play for their
Mhm.
country, and that way it makes it a little more even. I mean,
But
Canada's still probably never going to win, but I mean, at least we'll be competitive more so than they were.
yeah.
Like we
And
got
it's but
we got hammered the last
that's
game.
their own. Oh yeah, there was like I think we had three games that involved a mercy rule, and we were on the other side of only one of those.
Yeah.
Two of them we just got destroyed.
Well, no, we won the one against Britain with mercy
Yeah,
rule.
that
Then
was that,
we kicked Colombia's ass 5-0,
and
and
then
then
we got destroyed by
by
the U.S.
Mexico, I think it was, and the U.S.
and the U.S. Yeah,
Yeah. And then that's the thing. And we're going to be stuck with those teams as it is. So, I mean, you got to
yeah.
we're going to get better players, but I mean, it's not going to be anytime soon. But,
Oh, but
you know,
it'll happen.
overall, it was a good thing. I like the
Oh yeah,
classic. I don't have a problem with it. I think
I
it's
think
going
it's
to be a
great.
great thing. So I mean, they should keep doing it for sure.
Yeah,
I just want them to be able to be the best of the best as opposed to who we could get. Because that's what it comes down to. It's all who can we get to play. The
yeah,
US, I mean, you could field 10 US teams and all of them would probably still be better than most of the first
yeah.
teams or most of the countries,
And
right?
and probably like five Japanese teams as well. Same
Exactly.
deal. Yeah,
And Cuba's always a wild card because we never know what the Cubans are going to be like until they get to see us because nobody plays them. But then every
yeah.
time we play Cuba in one of these tournaments, they're always kicking people's ass because
No, but
Cuba's really good at fucking baseball.
Cuba's amazing. And think of how many guys have defected from Cuba to play in the
Well,
major
that's what
leagues.
I
Like
mean.
literally.
Like
Yeah,
we don't know how good they are until we see them here because we don't get to
yeah,
see them in Cuba. We don't know how
yeah.
the team plays, right? But it's always consistently. I mean,
Mhm.
Lourdes and his
Brother, his dad. I mean,
hold on,
what's
hold on 1 second. Hey, Kevin,
woohoo.
Ellen's calling me for some reason. Would you like to talk to her? Live TV, folks. Live television.
Woohoo.
Live podcast. Anyway,
Oh, I can hear
so
the hammering now. I
yep.
want you. I want you to do. I don't know if you ever remember in Scrooged, Bill Murray. Could you please stop the goddamn hammering?
Could you please
Could you
stop the
please,
goddamn
for the
hammering?
love of
Of
God,
God, stop
stop
the
the
goddamn
goddamn
hammering.
hammering? Cause you play.
That is a highly underrated Christmas movie that is never on
Oh my God.
TV.
It
It's
is.
never on.
Yeah. And
I
it's
love
and
that thing.
one of my favorite parts in it, and it's just like that is please stop the goddamn hammering. But when you go into his office in the very beginning, and it's such a subtle thing because his name's Frank Cross, and there's
Mhm.
like a definition of cross. It says a thing you nail people to on the top.
Yep. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yes.
It's funny. We talk about these old guys like comics. I keep reading so many terrible things about two people that I love as comics forever. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase.
Oh, I know about
Apparently,
Chevy Chase. What I don't know about Bill Murray though. But Chevy Chase
no,
apparently is supposed to be a big asshole.
on
Yeah.
set he's horrible. Like the people in
Yeah.
Community basically just got rid of him because they just couldn't stand him anymore, and he
Yeah.
kept making racial epithets towards Childish Donald Glover, Childish
Oh wow.
Gambino. Yeah, he's Donald Glover said he was really like, you need to go talk to that old man because I ain't
Wow.
taking this crap anymore. And that's what he did, and that's pretty much how he got let go.
Booted. Yeah.
And Bill Murray, cool guy in like apparently in regular life, but not a cool guy on
On
set
a set.
sometimes. Not
Yeah.
100% of the time. Like sometimes he is, he's got good, but sometimes apparently he is not the best. But anyway,
I did hear that he had a big problem, or not a big problem. There was a big problem with him on the set of Charlie's Angels, like, and he was a little
yeah,
chauvinistic. And then that's why they got Bernie Mac the second time, right? I didn't know if originally at first I thought it was like a contract thing where he wanted more money, and then they just said
no, he was a dick.
yeah,
He
yeah.
was. That's what he was. All right. So we're getting back
Uh,
to Blue Jay spring training.
Here we
So
go.
spring
So
training
who's
is
made the
almost
team?
done.
Who's made the team?
Well,
And this is
who is?
and I'm excited for another little Canadian presence because he's
Yep.
played his way onto the team, Zach Pop.
Yep.
So that's
He
like
beat
that's
out he beat out Nate Pearson pretty much,
yeah,
and like I mean he's only there because Mitch White's been hurt.
yeah.
But you know what that means? We don't have a long guy in the pen. We don't have
But
one.
I'm hoping that that means that we're gonna have uh like I have a feeling our starter will go 5 or 6, and then we'll go
Yeah.
one inning, and then a
We
closer.
have to go one inning because we don't
Yeah,
have any guy to go longer than that. The,
yeah,
the thing is, I'm worried about that at the beginning of a season because the pitchers are not fully stretched out to 100 plus
yeah.
pitches yet. So if they can only get through the fourth, like we could burn our bullpen out pretty damn quick in April if we don't have these guys go. Like, I mean,
I
I
highly
don't
doubt it.
think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
Not with Manoa, not with Gosman, not
yeah,
with Bassett. But it
no.
could be if Barrios isn't doing like he's been okay. But I
Mhm.
mean, WBC he was shitty.
Kikuchi's
But
been
he's
great.
out. Kikuchi's
Kikuchi's
been
been
great.
great
The only
since
thing with
spring.
Kikuchi is he's still walked a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
28 strikeouts is great. 10 walks counteracts that a little bit. Still
Yeah. I mean, if he
2.8 to 1, it's not bad.
if he spaces those walks out, I've got no problem with it. If he spaces the walks out, and if
Yeah.
he's got a like, because think about like I'm always going to mention Burley. Burley's one of my favorite Jays of all time.
Mhm.
Burley never wins a stats. Like if you're looking on
No.
stats, like you're never going to see like, oh, he's awesome in this, awesome in this, because the guy could walk. He could, he would give up hits, but you know what he would do? Once they got on base, he would shut them down, like
Yeah.
shut down whoever's on next. So like
Yeah.
his whip
Kikuchi
is
has the same
terrible.
possibilities. I
Yeah,
think the pitch clock has helped him immensely because it's making him not think as much. And I think he's in his head too much. And I think
yeah.
that's going to help him a lot. And that's what they've been saying that in a few things I've heard, like Blair Barker, those guys talk about it, saying like he's out of his head so that he
Mhm.
just has to throw because you don't have time. It's like the one big thing that could be an issue is with Chris Bassett. Now, the reason that is because it happened a few times in the game today. He has 7 or 8 pitches, right? So if you're shaking off the catcher when you've only got 18 seconds
Mhm.
to do it, basically what happened today was he basically said he's like I just took over because he has a pitch comm on his glove, and
Mhm.
now Jansen has one in his ear because it used to be just one way,
Yeah,
now it's 2 ways,
yeah.
right? So Bassett's calling his pitches. He goes,
Oh,
and he said he goes, I would love Danny to call the game, but we don't have enough time. That is going to be an interesting thing going forward. If you got to go 1 or 2 or 3 pitches, no worries. 7 workable pitches, it's going to be Bassett's calling his own game,
well,
right?
think of what it was going to be like back when we had what's his name, Pat Vedette, who had
Oh,
four or five pitches with each hand,
yeah.
because he was a lefty and a righty. So
Yeah, I
that
think
was
he's still in the minor somewhere, but yeah, I mean, that's
I think he went back over. We got him from Oakland, and then he's over in the minors in the Yankees right
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so that's going to be a thing. Alejandro Kirk is behind, and he
Mhm.
made a couple errors based on the pitch clock already.
Yeah.
Um, that was weird. We just froze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good. You're good.
Okay. So he's still a little bit behind everybody, and he's caused a few
It's
issues on
insane.
the mound with
Don't
Manoa.
worry, I don't have to
So
do this, so we're
no,
good.
yeah. Sometime this year, when I have one of my freakouts, we will definitely need that. But yeah, but that's going to be a bit of an issue going forward. And I'm still, like I said last time, I'm really disappointed that he showed up in the shape that he did.
Yeah.
Because he's
I've said this before. If I was paid to be in shape, do you realize how good a shape I would be in?
yeah,
Like if my job was athletic, my God.
like I don't expect him to be a 6 pack guy. I don't even expect
Yeah,
him not to have a gut, but I expected him to look at least a little different this year. Like
yeah.
when he realized that he fell off the face of the earth in the second half, I think people are not hyping on that enough
No.
with Kirk. Is that he didn't last the whole season.
People
He
are
hadn't
worried that he
DH.
wasn't smiling and that he was
Well, here's
he
and here's
doesn't
the
look like
other.
he's
Okay,
smiling.
so having Brandon Bell, a few of these other guys, maybe he won't have to DH as much as he did, which
Mhm.
is great because maybe that wore him out. Maybe now he can just concentrate on catching most of the time. He can DH sometimes, and maybe he can get a few more days off than he did before because he's obviously going to need the days off
But
because
I don't
he's
know.
not.
As a Major League Baseball player, I think the most fun position would be a designated hitter because you
Mm,
like the mistake aspect of it is you're expected to fail as a hitter. Like if you're awesome, you're 300. That is
yeah,
30%. So
yeah.
whereas like if you're a fielder, if you have a 30% fielding, you
But
suck.
it means he's still got to run, and that's the
Yeah.
other thing. See, I'm just that's why I'm just okay. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it. I am really disappointed we didn't trade him and didn't keep Moreno because
Yeah.
Moreno is hitting the bejesus out of the ball in
I knew that was coming.
Arizona.
But Jesus. Yeah,
He's
yeah, he
he's
will.
his OPS right now is 1.33 something. He's hit 4 home runs already. And
Yeah.
he, or no, sorry, 3, and he wasn't expected to hit much because he didn't have much power yet. His average is over 400, right?
Yeah.
And his defense has been stellar. He is going to be an all-star catcher for them.
and
So I
and
get it.
his pickoff potential as well. Like I want to see what it's going to be like with the bigger base because I think people are going to
Well,
run more
Kirk,
on him,
I will give
and
Kirk credit.
he's got a gun.
Kirk, yeah, well, Kirk can throw.
Yeah,
Kirk's a decent defensive catcher. I don't really have a problem with him with his defense. I have a problem with his lazy setups with his legs sticking out and all that crap because that takes you out of position to throw, and it really fucking bothers me. But it is what it is. All the catchers are doing it now, so whatever. But I'm with Buck. Like it's a lazy way of doing things. Like that's why he's able to get that low strike call. But you know what? When the robo umps come into effect, that's gone.
yeah,
So your ability to frame a pitch means nothing. So I would be more worried about blocking balls and throwing balls than I would be just trying to frame them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I just think, I mean, I know we got the best we could out of what was offered to us and all. I'm
yeah.
sure Shapiro, I'm sure Atkins got the best of what he could get from all the da 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 da. But I really wish it was not. I really wish we had kept Moreno and got rid
But
of him.
I mean I love Danny Jansen and I love the fact that he's still going to be in the fold because he is the everyday catcher, right?
In
Like
his past
he's
311 at bats in the
yeah,
majors, his OPS is 901.
yeah,
Best of best of best.
yeah.
That's the thing.
And he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Like he's a killer catcher. He just got injured for a good chunk, and but if
Well,
he
that's the
was
thing. He was always injured.
yeah.
That's his thing. Caitlin McGrath again from the Athletic. One of her 10 predictions is that she thinks Jansen's going to make the All Star team this year.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Thank God for gain control. Woo! Okay.
Mine is not that much. Gotta give you
I mean, I've got a interface to make it a little bit
yeah.
easier.
Yours is a little better, Mike. All
Yeah,
right,
well,
so
just a little bit.
I mean we know that considering we were talking about catching and also picking off,
Mhm.
they would have to throw something to the second baseman, and second base
Oh,
is going to be a little bit of I mean I think we're fine, but it's also solidifying on what day someone's going to play. I have a feeling it's going to be based on a pitcher because
Yeah,
Espinal is going to be thrown in there. You know, you're going to see Whit Merrifield playing there at some point in time. I feel
he'll also
Biggio is
play in
going
the
to,
outfield.
yeah. And
That's the
but
thing.
that's the thing, right? Like I think Whitfield is better served in the outfield, but he's also a good second baseman.
Well,
Sorry, Merrifield.
Merrifield.
I was calling him Whitfield. Merrifield.
No, the way I've heard
Yeah,
is if there's changes to the outfield, this is what they would do: is they would take out Kiermaier, they would slide Varsho to center, and put Merrifield if it's a right-hander. If it's a if it's a left-hander. If it's a right-hander, they would do this. They would do that with Biggio into right
yeah,
field. And they take Springer out of the game, and that's kind of how they would do it because, you know, basically Whit Merrifield backup left fielder and Biggio's the backup right fielder,
yeah,
as they've called it now, and the backup center fielder is Springer or Varsho.
yeah.
Right, that's kind of how it's going to go. So and I have no problem with that. This is now that we talk about that's based on what we know now. The only way that changes is who they take as their 26th guy. So right now it's between Otto Lopez, Vinny Capra, and Nathan Lucas. And Nathan Lucas hit his second triple today, and he's a pretty good outfielder. Unfortunately, he's a lefty. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but we don't need any more lefties.
No, we had
right?
we had one last year, and now we've got 9.
Yeah, we got yeah. So it's going to be between Lopez and Capra, I think. But Capra now if we took Capra, we have to put him on the 40 man and lose somebody. So I honestly think it'll be Otto Lopez for a variety of reasons. One, he's had a good spring. Two, his defensive versatility is just like Merrifield's is. He can play everywhere. They've had him doing a lot of outfield stuff as well, so he can be a pinch there. He's also fast, so he can be a good pinch runner in the 9th inning, 8th inning, or whatever. So that's a good thing to have on the bench, right? So that's who I think is going to make it. It just makes the most logical sense.
But,
The only thing that's bad about that is he might not get the playing time, and he could regress.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like not being in spring, like not being in a AAA affiliate where he can actually hone his game better. But I think he would be good served for speed for the Jays because we know that this year there's going to be more attempts at stealing, and I love that.
John Schneider's already said that they're going to make more efforts to steal.
Yeah.
There was an article, you should read it today. I think it was I was reading The Athletic a lot. I think it was in The Athletic. It might have been another paper, but Ricky Henderson. So they started asking some of these old guys, like, what do you think of the new rules? And Ricky Henderson's like, what the fuck with this stolen? What's with this? What's this? 2 pickoff throws? He goes, you know what you should do now? Add 50 to 60 stolen bases for every season that I played.
Yeah. Yeah.
He means every season.
Season. And he played for 27 years. Was it 27 years?
It wasn't that much, but it was a lot.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Like 22, 23. It was ridiculous, but it was up there.
Because he retired well into his 40s, and he started playing when he was 19.
With the rules the way they are now, that he would have an extra 1,600 stolen bases in his career.
I would not doubt it.
He stole, but that's like more or less.
He stole pretty much every time he was on almost every time he was on first.
Pretty much.
And here's something crazy. He like, and it's a stupid trivia question as well. Who's broken up the most ties with a home run? Ricky Henderson. Do you know why? Because he was the leadoff hitter, and the game was always 0-0. And he has the most leadoff home runs out of anyone. So like the guy like, and he will tell you he was awesome.
Oh,
because he was never shy.
So they were talking about 1987. Harold Reynolds led the league with 60 stolen bases because Ricky only played 95 games that year because he was hurt.
Yeah.
He called up Harold Reynolds and says something like, 60 games? Ricky could do that in half a season.
Yeah.
Like literally called up Harold Reynolds just to say that and hung up the phone on him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, no one's gonna beat him, but I mean, he's saying that he thinks the rule's ridiculous. Now, he's like, the game's got, like everybody says, the game's gotten away from speed. It's all about, well, you don't want to steal second in case he gets caught and then the guy gets a home run and he loses the 11. Who gives a fuck? We need speed. We need speed and moving runners in this game again because baseball has gotten really boring. So the speed up rules, I think all of these things are going to make the game different in terms of people, 2 pickoff throws, bigger bases. Another guy on another fucking keyboard warrior.
One thing I can tell you right away is, we couldn't score in that wild card series. Well, actually, sorry, the first wild card game we scored, in the second wild card game we couldn't stop them from scoring, but we couldn't score. We would get a guy on first, and then nothing had happened. You know what?
Yeah,
If we get a guy on first and he steals a base, that puts a guy in scoring position.
exactly. So I think you're going to see that a lot more because again,
Yeah.
we've lost a little bit of power, but we've gained a lot of speed. So we need to use what we've
And
got.
and
I
and,
mean,
and
Varsho,
Dave
so I think
and Dave Collins from 1980, what, two,
it was 80. It might have been
three,
84.
84,
It's 83 or 84. 60
60.
stolen bases.
Yeah,
Still
it's
a
good,
record.
but yeah, still a record.
I mean, Shannon Stewart got 57. That was
Yeah,
I think in 2001, that was the closest we ever got. I would
and
love someone to
and
break Dave Collins' record.
yeah,
It's just the most ridiculous record to have on your team as a guy for stolen bases from back like fucking 35 years ago. It's just really, well, you get nobody, not one
yeah.
dude. Not
In in
even,
in 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 40 years, holy, we're happy. Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
it's ridiculous. But I mean, so Dave Collins has his own little notoriety because he sure as hell wasn't that great of a baseball player. He wasn't
Well,
around for
hey,
20 years. He was
hey,
good. He just wasn't that good.
but think about this though. Think about this though. Like, okay, so 60 stolen bases, and it's been 40 years since someone's done. Like, someone still hasn't done it for the Jays. But think of how long the 61 home runs took in the
Yeah.
American League.
Yeah, but that's
61,
different
61 years.
because on other teams, people have beaten 60 stolen bases. You know, Jacoby
Totally,
Ellsbury in 2009 is
totally.
like 80. You know what I mean? That's what I mean.
Yeah,
But the home run record's the same thing. But the stolen base record is like that's just the team thing.
yeah.
Because like I guarantee the stolen base record for other teams, most of them are going to have more than 60. I'm
But
guessing.
the Jays have always been a home run team.
Yeah,
They've always relied on it. Even in the 80s, like, the Killer
we still
Bees.
got the record for home runs in a game with 10 from
Yeah.
1987. So this is why those records are all set at Exhibition Stadium of all places. That's what I
Yeah.
find really funny. It's
No,
still sticking from there.
but the crazy thing is, as you mentioned in the last one, the dimensions for the dome used to be the exact same as they were in Exhibition Stadium.
Yeah.
So in terms of like field size, but Exhibition Stadium was also an open air stadium, and you get that bitch of a wind that just can pick things up
The
and throw
mistake
it.
by the lake. Oof, that
Yeah.
place was brutal. Just to sit in alone. The last thing I ever wanted was to get those like
Oh,
the bench
the April
seats.
the April games and the bench seats where the wind would cut
Oh,
across you, and you're just like,
yeah, because there's no back on them because you're on a fucking bench and it's a steel
yeah,
bench. You're like,
yeah,
I should have worn like 17 layers on my ass. It is fucking cold here. Yeah.
yep,
I've seen, yeah, but I mean, it was charming.
yeah.
I still can't believe they played in that stadium. Just like playing in Jerry Park. Can't believe they played in that stadium either. Like, my goodness, what the hell? People gotta leave me alone, man. I'm busy.
Well, we'll
Anyway,
move on to what do you think? I figure we'll do our
so
little predictions for the season, because season
yeah,
starts in 2 weeks.
no, the season started in 6 days.
Well, sorry,
Actually,
no,
the season starts in 3 days.
I'm thinking of the home, like the home opener. Sorry, home opener is in 2
Yeah,
weeks.
we got to play 11 games first on
Yeah,
the
because
road.
they got to finish. They got to finish fixing up our outfield.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Who's gonna win East, West, Central American League?
Okay. So
I say Houston still will for the West.
maybe
Seattle's gonna give them a run.
I'm wondering it's going to be more wide open than you think
I
because
think.
the Angels are better. They've got actually pitching this year.
Well,
And
the Angels have two amazing players,
Mhm.
and they needed to stock up anything around them.
Well, they finally did. Like Artie Moreno's a terrible owner. I don't know what the hell they think about when because they buy all these position players and can't get themselves a goddamn pitcher. It's weird.
Yeah.
And they can't develop any. Well, they've
You,
started to develop a few. So they've
you have
got
two
decent pitching.
generational players that are probably going to be some of the greatest players in baseball.
And Anthony Rendon is back, so he's going to be decent. I mean, you've got some good position players on that team in general. Max Stassi's a decent back catcher, whatever. Back catcher. I can't believe they just said back catcher.
Back catcher.
Somebody smacked me in the head. What the hell was I thinking?
And who have we got playing Rover?
Well, then you got
a back catcher and a Rover.
Texas. And then you got to look at Texas, man. Like they bought themselves a rotation. But I mean, I don't think any of these guys are going to pitch more than 150 innings. That's the problem with their rotations. They just have a bunch of guys who are not known for going 200 innings. So they need a decent bullpen, which they don't have. But they got hitting. I mean, they got some decent hitting. They've got, like, the starting pitching's all right. They've got a good closer. Like Martin Perez, Sonny Gray, or is it John Gray? I can't remember which Gray it was. I think it was John Gray.
In Texas?
So you got Martin, yeah. So you got Jacob deGrom, Martin Perez, who was pretty good last year, John Gray. They got Nathan Eovaldi on there now, which is a good five guy, I guess. So their pitching's better. So they could surprise. I don't
But
think they
think
will.
of what it used to be like when you're looking at, let's say, like 2010-ish Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had an unstoppable rotation and nothing else.
Yeah,
And it was the same with the Jays. Like the Jays, we would have troubles with Tampa Bay until we chased the starting pitcher, and then we would come back and destroy them
yeah,
because they literally had nothing else. So yeah,
yeah.
you can have a solid rotation, but I mean, no one goes complete games anymore unless you've got a no
No,
hitter or a
and
or a
that's
perfect game going
I
on.
think you're going to see that starting to change a little bit too. I think people are getting a little kind of because you're burning out a lot of people. You're going to burn out your bullpen if you don't start pitching more innings. The Jays are going to be one of the teams that pitches more innings from their starters the most, which is
Yeah,
good. Well, I think most of our guys can go seven, which is what I
because
expect.
what was once we didn't have Burley and uh, Halliday anymore was it was Stroman, and
Oh
Stroman I
God,
think did four complete games. That was it,
yeah.
and I'm like four. That's crazy.
And I think we had one last year total of the whole
I think
team.
so. Yeah.
I think it was one, maybe not even any. I'd have to double check that, but it was one or none. Um, so no, I think we have the capabilities to do that. But anyway, so Texas, yeah. Then Seattle,
I think Seattle, because
I
Seattle's guys were all young last year, and now they've got a little bit of weight under them, and I have a feeling they'll, because well, you have to also think that Altuve is going to be out for a little while too for Houston. So
that's what I'm saying.
Houston's still pretty
Houston's
stacked,
vulnerable. They're
but they are
Yuli
vulnerable. Yeah,
Gurriel's gone too. They got rid of Gurriel.
yeah.
He's gone.
They're stacked, but they are vulnerable. So
Yeah,
like if people get a good enough lead on them, they can maybe hold them off.
like they don't have like I mean they still have Verlander, but I
Mhm.
mean, oh no, didn't wait. Didn't Verlander go to the Mets?
Like, give me a
I
sec.
think he did. Not 100. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I think
Mets.
they're starting. Yeah, their
He's the
starting
Mets.
pitching's
Yeah.
a little. Yeah, so they've lost their ace. They've got a lot of twos and
Mhm.
threes in their rotation. They don't have any aces. They have a lot of twos and threes. But I mean, they've got good pitching. They've got a wicked bullpen. So I mean, I would say they are the favorites. But like, yeah, Seattle's going to give them a bit of a push, and
Yeah.
I think the Angels are going to be better than people think. I think it's fine. I think after this World WBC, Otani and Trout are going to be like men possessed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that'll stretch out to the rest of the team. Okay, so then we're talking the Central. Um,
I think Cleveland.
I don't think there's anybody you can pick but Cleveland except
Yeah.
maybe Minnesota.
Minnesota could, but it's going to be Cleveland, and that's the thing is that the Central will have one team that sort of dominates, and then nothing else.
Well,
So
no,
it's
I think Minnesota and Cleveland are going to be because Minnesota they got Correa back. They've got some decent pitching again. I mean, and they've got their position players are pretty good as well. So I think Minnesota is going to be right there with Cleveland, but I think Cleveland's going to take it. I just think they have a bit more depth and a bit better position players. Like Stephen Kwan, for example, is going to take another step forward. Josh and Bo Naylor are going to take another step forward. Ahmed Rosario is going to take a step forward. Blah blah blah. They are all and then you've still got your Jose Ramirez,
mhm.
and but I mean, you worry about Cal Quantrill. He didn't have a good WBC, so maybe
No.
you worry about him a little bit. But they've got the capabilities. And you go to the East. What really surprises me looking at the predictions for the East
Is that
is
I've
most,
seen that they're still saying the Yankees are going to beat us
and not just beat us, but beat us by like 6 or 7
lot.
games.
Yeah,
Like they had one, I had one that said the Yankees are going to win 97 games, and they predicted the Jays to win
and the Jays
89.
91. I've got the one that I'm looking at is 97, and they've got the Jays is 91. They have them as
Yeah,
91 and a half to be exact. So like
now
five
I
and a
think
half.
some of these people are thinking there's going to be a difference in win total because of the slightly more balanced schedule. Which is fair. I mean, instead of playing 19 games against the Yankees, we're now going to be playing. I think it's 12 or 13 games against
So then
against the
it gives
East
you a
teams.
chance to like beat up on some fodder, right? So
Yeah, but that also means we're going to be playing. We play every team in baseball, right? So we're
yeah.
going to be playing the Mets, the Phillies, the
Mhm.
Dodgers, the Padres,
Dodgers, the
like right.
Padres,
So
like even freaking the Brewers. I actually think the Brewers are actually pretty good.
yeah, And yeah, the Brewers will be there for sure. I think the Brewers will probably take the Central if St. Louis doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think St. Louis has the edge. Although Adam Wainwright is now out for weeks
Mhm.
because he came back and hurt himself in lifting weights. He made it through the entire WBC,
Yeah.
no problem. To the last
and
game,
and
he
and,
was lifting
and did
weights.
his job and got injured. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and then St. Louis will have a preamble. I think they're going to have that kid Walker is going to be the rookie of the year down
Yeah.
there. It was fun. They've now been showing videos of players meeting with their managers in the manager's office. So I guess they've been putting cameras in managers' offices. So I saw John Schneider tell Alec Manoah he's going to be the opening day starter. So they had the guys from St. Louis telling Walker that he made the team, and Walker stood up and he was like, here's the head of the manager, and here's the head of fucking Walker. He's like, he's huge. I don't know whether the other guys are really small, but this motherfucker's huge. He's a big, big, big man. And he can hit for power and he can run. The fact that they put him on the team at 20 years old
Mhm.
tells you what they think about this
He's gonna
guy.
be good.
And,
Well,
they've got
think of
Newpar and Carlson and O'Neill already in their outfield, which is a pretty good outfield as it is. And
think
they
of think of
still
like,
fucking
20s and teens that have made it in the last little while. I mean, you have Bryce Harper, Soto,
oh
um,
yeah. No,
uh,
they're coming in
Strasburg. I
younger.
think Strasburg was 20. I think
Yeah.
Strasburg, but I mean, it's a rarity to you got to go back to like Ken Griffey Jr., who was 19, who was making
Yeah.
it. So like
It's still
you,
it's still a rarity, but it's happening
yeah,
more and more because the development is different because they got things like the Jays
yeah.
talked about their pitching.
Well, they're catching guys at like 16 now, right? So that still gives them 4 years
Well,
to hone it.
but they got a
Yeah,
pitching clinic now. Like I saying, like Ricky Tiedemann basically
yeah,
spent all of like 2020 in this development thing that the Jays have
yeah,
created for their pitchers and stuff like that. And now it's like instead of playing games, they just work on their shit until they're ready to put them into a game, which
yeah.
is nice. So it's a different way of developing, but it's working. So I think the Jays are going to take the East. I don't think the
I think
Yankees,
so.
because the Yankees are starting off without Montas, without Rodon, without Severino in their starting rotation already. They've already lost 3 guys out of their starting rotation. Nestor Cortez started late, so he's a 4th one. And then you got Garrett Cole,
Yeah,
who is
and I
probably
mean,
going to be
Babe
good.
Ruth's dead, Joe DiMaggio's dead, Lou Gehrig's dead. They got no one.
Well, seriously, if they lose Aaron Judge and they lose
Oh God,
Volpe, also got they brought
they
their
would
big guy
rely
Volpe.
on what's his face Kiner Falafa. I always want
Well,
to say
kind of
Falafa.
Falafa they put in center field now because
Yeah,
Volpe, the kid, they brought him up and he's going to play shortstop.
yeah,
He's basically 21 years. He's basically the next Derek Jeter. They're saying they were
yeah,
comparing things, and he's like the next Jeter, whatever. Anthony Rizzo is a great bat, but if Rizzo and Judge can't hit, they're fucked.
yeah,
They got what Josh Donaldson. They've got Oswaldo Cabrera, who was decent last year in the outfield, and he'll probably end up playing left field. LeMay, who's going to be all over the place. It's just
yeah.
I'm just not 100% sold on their offense, and their pitching is going to be garbage for the first like few months. So what we need to do, the Jays need to do, is to really have something that they usually don't do. Have a good goddamn April.
Yeah.
We don't usually do good Aprils.
We're
We
usually
need an
horrible.
April. Yeah.
Well, it's always determinant on because we always have a good solid 10 or 11 game winning streak at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Once everyone gets excited for the team, and then the games start, and then we win a couple, lose a couple, win a couple, lose a couple, and we're like flirting with 500, might be a little under, might be a little over, and then some people tail off and don't watch,
Yep.
and then they'll come back in because in May or June the Jays will go on like a 10 or 11 game winning streak, and then bring everything back. But that's the thing. It's like when you have 160 games, like you can go on a 10 game losing streak and still be fine.
The only issue with the Yankees is we don't see them when they're all hurt. We're going to start seeing them in May.
Yeah.
Which means some of these guys are going to be back already. Like Montas is probably out of the season, so it's a matter of.
Yeah.
So they apparently have some decent pitching depth in their minors of guys they want to bring up. So they're going to have to rely on their depth, which is good because now we start eating into the depth that they've got. Yeah. Which is good for us overall going forward. So let's see, National League wise, who do you think is going to win the East?
Well, I mean, the money theoretically is on the Mets.
Yeah.
Right? The money's on the Mets.
Again.
Yeah, the ones on the
Getting
Mets. And I
comfy,
mean,
people.
like they've bolstered up their pitching staff. They did lose a closer, but I
Yep.
mean, like
But they have
they've
three other
they,
closers in the bullpen already, though.
yeah, they've blown the luxury tax out of the water. Like I think their luxury tax is more than Kansas City's payroll.
I think their total payroll's in the 400 millions now.
Yeah, and
I can't wait for
I
Steve Cohen's hedge fund crap to just fucking blow up and lose them all the
well
money, and then they're totally screwed.
no, but also you know that he was a big investor in Silicon Valley Bank, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like
Yeah,
I know he's the richest owner, but he could be not the richest owner tomorrow.
yeah. Um,
Like,
I
think.
feel like well, sorry, I was cutting you off there because I was gonna.
No, go ahead.
I'm still harping on the Mets are gonna take it, and I feel Atlanta is gonna be a solid second,
What about the
like
Phillies?
an easy second. I don't know. I don't know. Like they
They
could
signed
get
Trey Turner.
but that's the thing is they could get the
They
hangover, right?
they've got some good pitching. They've got, let's see, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Taiwan Walker signed to put on the end of their bullpen. They've got a couple guys who are coming up, and then their bullpen in general is pretty good, and their hitters
I
are
have
pretty good.
I have this
The
feeling
only
though
thing
that
with them is they can't field except for Trey
yeah.
Turner.
But all they need to do is make the playoffs, right? But it's been think of the last who's been the last back to back Yankees,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
and
don't,
that's like
yeah,
that's like not like 15 years ago.
something like that.
Yeah.
Not like
So
I don't. I still see the Phillies being in there. I think Miami's going to be better, but I don't think they're going to do that much
I have a
more.
soft spot for Miami. I've always liked Miami. I don't know why. Like I used to like them when they had that cocaine infused logo, like
Oh,
The Miami Vice logo with like whatever the hell that
with the
wheel of
sculpture they
death
had
was
in.
hanging out in the outfield. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Oh, what?
I love
Did
that.
they take that down? Because that was the
They did.
weirdest fucking.
They did
Oh,
because
it's too
they don't
bad.
they don't have the orange with like the Miami Vice-ish kind of like
Yeah.
80s kind of thing, like, which I thought was cool. Now they've just got like it's the blue, with a
They
fish.
need to
Come
come back
on.
to what they used to be.
No, they're
You know what
not.
I
They're
mean?
not that baby blue. Like they're sort of a deeper blue, and it does have like
I
a
mean,
a
in terms
marlin.
of
Yeah,
like instead of bright colors, they've now gone back down to muted kind of
yeah,
what
yeah.
colors.
I didn't mind them when they were like the baby blue. That was kind of cool as well. But
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't
It's
mind.
Miami. They get to be whatever color they want. Like think
Yeah,
of any team that Miami has, save for the Miami Heat. Miami Heat are actually just red, which is
sweet.
boring. But I mean, you look at the Dolphins;
So
they're like coral and orange. Miami FC pink. Because
yeah,
like the pink flamingos. Like yeah, cool.
so we've done Phillies. We've talked about the Mets. We've
Mets
talked about.
Central. Central. It's
Well,
either
no,
St. Louis or
what's the team we missed in the East though? We missed somebody. Mets,
Pittsburgh.
Phillies, Atlanta. Oh,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. That's essential.
Central.
Mets, Phillies,
Mets, Phillies, Atlanta. Mets, Phillies,
Braves,
Atlanta.
Miami.
Ray. Miami.
Who the hell are
Mets,
we missing?
Phillies, Braves. Why is this a problem?
I don't know. I feel stupid now.
I know.
We're
You know
professional
what?
baseball announcers, and we have no idea what the hell we're
I'm gonna
talking about.
solve this MLB standings. Oh my god, I can't believe I have to actually do this. And
I
when it
know.
pops up,
We're gonna kick our own
we're
asses.
gonna have to kick ourselves. Standings.
Washington. It's Washington.
Well, they're Washington's toast. That's
Yeah,
why.
they'll be the last place
Yeah.
team. That's
Yeah,
who they'll
because
be.
Washington
At
traded
least only
away
Miami.
Washington traded away Soto and got a lot back, but that a lot back is going to be 2 years, 3 years
Down the
away.
road. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, centralized again. Like I said, I think St. Louis takes this one. I think it's just
St. Louis
they
or
have it.
Milwaukee. I think
Yeah,
Milwaukee will give them a big run. Yeah,
yeah. Those are the two. The other ones, I think
yeah,
Pittsburgh's going to be a lot better than they have been, and I think the Reds are going to suck ass again. Now,
yeah.
did you hear about the rumors from the GM of the Cincinnati Reds and what he said about the trade deadline this year? Do you hear what he said?
No.
He said, if we're not in it, then I will definitely consider trading Votto to Toronto.
Whoa.
He said that specifically.
So cool. That's actually I like that.
Yeah, because this is the last year of Votto's contract,
and
right?
he's a fan favorite, and he's probably a favorite within the organization. They want to give him a little send off.
And that's the thing, but we don't need him though. That's the thing.
It would
Like
be
I'd love
cool
to
get
have him, but
though.
we just don't
It'd
need
be
him.
cool to get him. I think
It'd
he's
be
just
cool to get him, but who do you kick off the team that's
he's
worse
just a
than
cool
he
he's
is?
just a cool guy though. Like he's a
Yeah,
good
but
dude.
but he can't. He hasn't been the greatest hitter or fielder in the last couple of years. I don't know whether that's because he's been stuck playing with a shitty team or whether it's just because he's
Mhm.
old. Like I'd like to see it. I'm just saying, like if we do it, I don't want to do it just for novelty's sake because we're going for World Series. We don't need to
Yeah,
take up a space on the roster for novelty bench guy.
but he's also the funny thing is he's also Cincinnati's played in the playoffs twice in his span, and he's
I
played
think
more
so.
playoff games than our entire roster.
Yeah, and
Right?
Mike Trout.
So yeah, and Mike Trout. Yeah.
And then
But sorry, go ahead.
no, you go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and he's just I just like him. I just think he's cool. Like
Oh no, I
he's
love
a
him.
definite.
I would love him to be here. It's just I don't see a fit right now unless Brandon Belt gets hurt. That would do it for me. Like Brandon Belt is if his knee doesn't recover and he's not doing well, I'll trade for Votto.
Yeah,
Sure, because that's exactly they're both the same thing. Left-handed power guys you can back up first base.
I
That's what they
was
are.
also gonna mention the fact that just when you said, "Did you hear what the owner of the Reds said?" I'm like, well, I'm so used to hearing owner of the Reds say something, and it's just the worst thing ever. Like back in the Marge shot days, I'm like,
Oh God,
what now?
she was super racist.
She was
She
super
was the most.
racist.
She was the most raciest of racist. Like she just
Yeah,
was a terrible person.
a terrible
Um,
person. The one thing I would give her though is if it came like because this was also back in the time when the Jays wouldn't spend the money. She was racist, but she would spend the money.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm surprised
she
Jose Rijo
was
didn't
a
punch her in the face at some
complete
point.
dirtbag, but she would spend the money.
Yeah. West wise, I'm at
Well,
this point. I think it's
I think
finally
this is
time.
San Diego. Yeah,
Yeah, it has
I
to
think
be.
it's San Diego. Yeah,
It's their time to do it now with all the. But I mean, but they always do these huge signings and never do it.
yeah.
Like their opening day starters, Blake Snell, and he hasn't been that like he hasn't been that great.
He's
He's been all right. Like he was great in Tampa Bay, but he's not been as good in San Diego.
yeah.
Like Joe Musgrove, they've got Michael Waka's one of their top 5 starters, and that
But Waka is an interesting one though, right? Because Waka, he he was a World Series MVP for but this is also like what 8 years ago, nine
that's what
years
I mean.
ago
Like he's an older dude who's
for
not that
St.
he hasn't been
Louis.
that good for a while. Like I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I'd take Kikuchi over Waka any day right
But
now.
he's another one of those giant pitchers though that still has arm strength. And something about like the 6'6" dude that's just dropping the ball down your way.
Yeah,
I
but I
don't
mean,
know.
you got Snell, you got Darvish, you got Joe Musgrove. You've got
Oh, they have Clevenger.
Is Clevenger still there?
I think so.
Because he's all right. I mean, they've got a decent rotation. I mean, their bullpen's going to be pretty good too. So, but I mean, their lineup is ridiculous.
No, he is on the White Sox
Oh,
now.
so you got what? Let's see, we got Machado at third. Tatis
Yeah,
Jr. is
Soto.
going to be playing center field. Soto's going to play left or right, I guess, and Cronenworth will be the other one. Your shortstop's going to be Xander Bogarts.
I mean, we still got
Sorry,
Hosmer kicking there.
second base is going to be is it Hang the kid from the Japanese or the Korean League? He's in there. First base is Trent Grisham, I think, maybe. No, he was one of the outfielders, but
Shit.
anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So they've got it. They can hit. I mean, just 4 or 5 of those guys alone could carry the whole fucking team, right? So it's just that it's going to come down to their pitching and whether these other guys stay
Kim
healthy.
Ha Seong. That's who it
That's him.
is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a great defensive second baseman, and he hits pretty decently too. So
Oh,
they've got
they've got Matt Carpenter. That's actually a good pickup. I didn't know they got him
I don't know where they're going to play. Is he playing first?
third.
I guess
Yeah,
Manny Machado plays third.
but isn't Machado still
Hurt? No, he just signed a brand new 10-year deal with them.
did he?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
for like two
But
hundred eighty
I
million
like
dollars or
Carpenter.
something.
Carpenter's actually a pretty decent.
I like him too, but I guess he's
if he's an off
either
the bench
bench
guy,
guy or
then
the first.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the bench guy or the first baseman, one or the other.
You
Or
look at
like
their
Hosmer's up there.
pitching lineup. Their pitching like their rotation. If you put it like 5 years back, it's awesome because
Yeah,
you do have
yeah,
Walker, you got Pomeranz, you got Clevin. You got Darvish, and Musgrove and Snell.
yeah.
Right, like
That's not
5 years
that
ago.
doesn't.
5 years
Yeah,
ago, that's awesome.
yeah. So that's the thing that's going to come down to is if their pitching's all right because the hitting's not
Yeah,
going to be a problem, but that
yeah.
pitching rotation is It's not the best. I mean, it's not the worst, but it sure as hell ain't the best.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered our
Yeah.
our predictions for division
Now what about the
champs.
awards? Awards.
Well, you were mentioning that Gaussman was pegged, as a
Yeah.
favorite for the Cy Young, which is super
I think
cool.
the Cy Young is going to come from the Toronto rotation. It's either going to be Manoah or it's going to be Gosman, one or the other.
Yeah,
That's my prediction for that. I assume you agree.
I agree. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So now, Rookie of the Year, I can't say for sure because I don't really know. I'm
Oh,
not sure the
but that's
rookies in
but
the
that's one of
AL
those
right now.
things. That's one of those things that comes out of nowhere. Like
Well,
you
what I
never
mean is
know.
like they usually have like they'll pick, oh, this guy is coming up, so he's going to take it. And da 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 da. My guess, Gunnar Henderson. That's my guess from Baltimore
Baltimore.
because they have all these. They have the number one. They've what's been called the number one minor league system in baseball because they finished last God knows how many fucking
Because
times and they
they have to
stacked
have
it.
something. Yeah.
They have stacked it. So Gunnar Henderson probably will be the Rookie of the Year,
Hmm.
but it could be somebody else.
Yeah.
That's my general prediction. Manager of the Year, John Snyder,
Just for
because
saving
his
someone's life.
in his record
Just for
that was
giving the
first of
Heimlich
all,
maneuver.
yeah,
Yeah.
first of all that was fucking awesome. But his winning percentage last season was 628, which prorated is over 100 wins in a season.
Yeah.
He did that with the team we had last year. We have a better team this year. I think he could take. If we win the East, he'll get it.
And he gets a
Um,
whole season to have the team under the belt, right? So
well, they've been saying his spring training's been crazy because he's been very, very detail oriented and very fundamental oriented, which is really important right now because our fundamentals were lacking last year. Um, I think we have the potential of possibly 3 or 4 Gold Gloves in our on our team.
oh yeah, for
Like
sure. I
Vladdy
mean,
could.
you've got Vladdy and Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's won it in the past. Kiermaier, like if
Yep.
Kiermaier can come up, and then Varsho as well.
Varsha was the number one defensive outfielder last
Yeah,
year. So yeah, for sure. And then Springer could even win one in right.
yeah.
Um, any of our guys, if one guy pulls a second base job and just holds on to it, anyone in Espinal or Merrifield, they could. The only one that I'm worried about defensively on our entire team is shortstop. And it's not because Bo can't field the ball. It all goes back to what happened last
He
year.
just can't
Bo
throw.
can't throw. So he's been hitting the crap out of the ball. He's now bought out his arbitration years. All the shit that can go on in his head is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So now that it's gone, now he can focus. So they're saying he's been more focused this spring. He's been really good with it. He's been hitting his crap out of the bat. Another of Caitlin McGrath's 10 predictions from the Athletics, she said that she thinks he has the potential of winning the batting title this year, which is possible. He's led the league in hits twice.
Yeah.
So if he can get rid of his unevenness throughout the season, he could totally win the batting title,
Yeah.
no problem.
Like
Guerrero could hit 50 home runs.
if he does 75% of his September throughout the whole season,
Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah.
yeah. That's we're hoping he carries that over. So
Yeah.
that's a distinct possibility. I think Guerrero could hit 50, possibly. I think we'll have the best catching tandem in baseball again. I think the two of them together are going to be better than all the other ones combined, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the potential to be a World Series team now, which is good. That's fine with me. If Bo learns how to throw better, and I think not having the shift as much because we shifted more than anybody last year. Without the shift, he's going to be more in his shortstop area, in his space. So maybe being in that space on a consistent basis, as opposed to 40% of the time, might make it better. But we'll see. I'll tell you right now, if his defense does not improve again, if he's crapping the bed with it, he might get traded in the offseason.
Mm.
That's what I think. But we'll see how that goes. I don't know.
National League Cy Young. You can't. I mean, Verlander's playing in a new team. He's in a big market. You can't. Can't rule him
I'm
out.
gonna go for a Peter though. I think Alcantara could win it again.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling he's that kind of
Miami.
guy. Or it's gonna be somebody off the Atlanta Braves. Freed maybe.
Yeah.
What's the kid's name? Skinner. They have a kid pitcher who did really well. Slider, whatever. Anyway, the kid he could possibly do it. Well, yeah, anybody in the New York Mets rotation could fucking do it.
Yeah.
Anybody, but I just if it's not Alcantara, then it's
Spencer
maybe going to
Strider.
be
Spencer
that's it,
Strider.
Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
So if it's not, it could be Strider. It could be like somebody from the Braves. If not, I'm going to go and maybe on an out, a little bit on the outside, Aaron Nola.
Oh wow,
Because
cool.
he's been pitching really well. He's always been kind of underrated and kind of flown under the radar. And I just think if the Phillies come back as they were, then I think he's definitely going to be in that conversation. And so will
Yeah.
Zach Wheeler, possibly. Rookie of the year for them, I've already called that one Walker from the Cardinals. He will be.
Yeah.
I think he will be. Manager of the year, I have no idea. That's hard to call right now.
I'm gonna
Like,
roll the dice. Here we go. Ready? Ready for this one?
you put it on a randomizer.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Rob Thompson, maybe. If the Phillies do well, Rob Thompson could do it. Rob Thompson probably could have won it last year if he had the entire season with the Phillies. So there's that. Buck Showalter with the Mets could do it. Maybe.
Oh, geez. How about this one? It popped up. Skip Schumacher,
Skip Schumacher. Who's he? He's managing
Miami
somebody?
Marlins.
He's the manager of the Marlins? Not really?
Yeah.
Oh. That's right, because we stole Don Mattingly.
Yeah. And okay. Oh, and did you hear about this? So this, how the jacket's gone, right? The
Yeah,
home run
thank God.
jacket. The home run. I didn't mind the home run jacket, but that was a Don
It's played
Mattingly
out.
thing, saying it like no one should be swaggering like that back in the thing. Like you could be losing a game and put the thing
Yeah.
on. So I see the point. I did like it though. It was kind of cool.
I liked it. I just think it just was too much. Because they started doing it when they were like down by 10 runs and someone hits a home run, you got a home run jacket. And this looks dumb.
Yeah.
Like it should have some kind of consequence. It shouldn't be as flashy as that, I don't think.
Yeah.
But no, I can't remember there's a team. The team that actually asked permission of the Jays, I can't remember what the team was, to take over the home run jacket
Oh, that's
idea.
cool.
Yeah. So that's fine. I mean, they'll do some. I don't think they're going to do much. It'll be simple because the reason they brought in all these other guys, it's not just because you needed left-handed people or whatever. It's because we needed a culture change. And that's why, like, the Barrio is done. Sorry. Teo and Lourdes being gone, the Barrio's done.
But here's the thing as well, though, right? Like if you have a culture change, and it does play into the home run jacket. We were too busy worrying about that, and we got smoked. We got smoked in the wild card. Like not like the first game. First game was a massive blowout. The second game we were winning what 9-1, 9-1, and we lost, and then literally lost 11-9 or 10-9. I'm just like that's so. So even though the second game wasn't a blowout, it was a blowout because we let him get back into that one and didn't even touch it after that. So so you can ditch the jacket after that go for a culture change because look, you got to pay more attention to this as opposed to the celebration fact.
It's not just that. It's just 2 years. It's enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, like it's in the third year. It just seems like it's just going to be boring. Like it doesn't have the same cachet as it used to.
Greatest home run celebration. Bat flip. Never going to be topped. Yeah. Never going to be topped.
I don't know. Joe Carter jumping around the base, down like a madman's pretty good.
Yeah, that was awesome. But that's a little different. That is a little different. But I mean, the bat flip was just
No, I think Mattingly has a culture change. I think the whole thing will bring these pros in. Like Belts won a World Series. Kiermaier's been there. Don Mattingly is Don Mattingly. I mean, these changes are made for a reason, and they got rid of certain guys for a reason. I honestly think that Lourdes as a throw-in, like I know part of the reason I said Arizona wanted a right-handed outfielder because they had so many lefties, which is how we got Varsho. I think that's part of it, but I think we offered it to him. Like Moreno's like, oh, we like Moreno. When we said take Gurriel, just take him, And I think here's
an interesting fact. He said we got guys that have won the World Series, like Mattingly. Mattingly never won the World Series.
No, I didn't know. He never won the World Series, but he was still one of the best defensive
Belts. Yeah,
basemen.
Belt has, but that's the thing. It's like Mattingly is the only Yankee to have his number retired without winning a World Series.
Yeah.
That's
And he
actually
could have played
pretty good
longer if he
stuff.
didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He was great. No, he was great. I'm glad he's here. Like for John Schneider to have the humbleness to say, sure, bring him in.
Yeah.
Because one thing Mattingly wanted assurance of is that he's not being brought in to be the backup in case Schneider fails, because he doesn't want to be a manager right now. Like
Yeah.
Mattingly was content to stay home. And then the
Yeah.
Jays called and said, we just want you to be our bench guy
No,
and
but
help out John.
that's what John did, and I mean, like, but it's a massive role.
It
But
is.
you don't set the lineup, but you set the tone.
Exactly. And
Right?
you're the one that the players go to more than the manager. That's kind of, he's
Yeah,
like the buffer,
because the
right?
manager's got other shit that he's got on his mind. You're the guy
And
that has to
now,
actually literally
and he's a
handle their stuff.
lefty. He's a lefty hitter who can help all of our lefty hitters hit into that really short porch they're building.
He was a lefty
Fucking
hitter who, for what, like
359,
6 years in a row, was like the batting champ.
something not batting
Something.
champ, but pretty close. He
Oh,
was
I
up
thought
there.
he was a batting
He
champ.
didn't win. No, I don't think he won that many in a row. But he was still, defensively stellar.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's all about mindset right now, putting ourselves where they should be, right? And the mindset, he's going to have that winning mindset.
84 and 85 is batting champ, but he was
Yeah.
always up there. Yeah.
Yeah, he was still one of the top 10 hitters in the American League for that whole time.
Yeah,
for sure. So I like that. I like the culture change. I like the change, and they're doing the stadium. I like where the direction in general they're doing with everything. So
oh yeah,
we are as good as we can be. And anybody thinks Shapiro and Atkins suck after this offseason, because they did literally everything they said they needed to do.
Yeah.
Plus more. So you don't like them. If you don't like them, you're just a fucking hater.
Yeah.
And that's that. So that'll go out to some of the guys on the Walk Off podcast who I'll hopefully be talking to shortly, because one of their guys on their podcast and one of their speakers, he's a bit of a loon. He's a loon. He hates everything about the Blue Jays. Like, it's funny as hell. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, you can hate a team. I got no problem.
This is the last thing I'll say before we go.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would want to be a fan of a team and just hate them all the time. I don't.
I don't get. Yeah, I have a hatred for teams that are enemies of my team.
Yeah. But why do you have to crap? Like, I know we're going to go through it again this year. You're going to have people crapping all over every game. Oh, we should have done. We should have won. No, you don't win every game. Like you've always said, it's 60 wins, 60 losses.
60 losses, and then what you do with the others, that's exactly the difference.
And I just wish Toronto fans could change a little bit. Like right now, they're crapping all over Nick Nurse of the Raptors, saying like he's a terrible coach. I got to get rid of him. Like, he just won a championship 3 years ago.
Just won a championship. He's an American who decides that he's going to coach the Canadian national team.
Yeah. Like, how can you, like, just because
no, but it's Toronto fandom. It's Toronto fandom. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Toronto fans are the worst. They are the worst. And I hate the fact I have to say that, but they really are. Yeah. Like, if you ask Blue Jay fans anywhere else in this country, they're not as fucking like, as they are here. Fuck, our fans are just, I'm just hoping any of you people watching this who are shithead fans, just don't take it game by game, because you're going to drive yourself insane. Enjoy the overall thing. Go week by week. That's a better way of looking at a baseball season. If you're going to play every fucking day, look at it. How we do this week? That's how we always did it. The week was 4-3, 5-2, 2-5, whatever. That gives you a sample size.
I'm going to throw this on
one game. Yeah, not one game bullshit. That's what I'm saying.
You can talk over it. Go ahead.
I just like the song and the fact that thing looks like Cheers. It's the one thing that we have to change, that has to change this year, because we just have too many fans who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's the other thing, is if you're an uninformed fan and informed fans are trying to teach you or help you understand why things happen. Listen. Don't be a dick. Like, why does, like, the world has gotten to a point where you just can't disagree and learn. It's all like, you're wrong. You're just an asshole. You're just trying to tell me what to. Oh, you're just, oh, well, I am mighty and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, man, I'm
Mhm.
trying to tell you this is how things work. This is why this was done. This is why this was done. Whether it was done right or wrong, that's a different debate. But this is why it was done. And once you learn the why, you can start debating as to whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. Don't just crap on people because they went 0 for 4.
Yeah.
You know, if they go 0 for 30, crap on him for a while. Sure. If he can't get out of the first inning like Kikuchi last year, crap on him. Fine. I understand that. But you
Mhm.
still got to have some semblance of optimism. Sports fans who don't have optimism just are
Oh yeah.
miserable people. And who was it? The Bill Maher on Friday. He actually said something. His new rule was a very interesting thing that he said. No, like I said, we'll leave with this. He said that sports in the landscape of everything is the last meritocracy that there is, because sport is based on ability,
Yeah.
right? He goes, you can have sons and daughters of people who played their sport before them, but unless they're good, they're not going to be,
Mhm.
they're not going to be good in their thing. They're not going to get the job just because their dad did it. They still have to be good at what they do,
Yeah.
right? But you thought politics is all like me, 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 and everything is all me, 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 back and forth, back and forth. Sports is the last bastion where it's just an even playing field. You're doing you're judged on what you do as opposed to what you think or what you say. And that's what I think. They said 94 of the top 100 things on TV that was watched last year, the top rated 94 of the top 100 rated shows were sports.
Sports. Yeah.
94%
Yeah.
of like that should tell you right there. So enjoy your sports, because this is that's the last chance of you. Like I said, the meritocracy, where it's all based on merit and it's
Mhm.
not based on bullshit.
So I don't know if you can see the photo just beside you there.
Yeah, you just
You know
put
what
up
that
this.
is? Yeah. It's that's the flat earthers eclipse. Just when you're saying like the world has become so black and white,
It's
so
like,
black and
what's the
white.
black
Like
line for?
yeah. Well, that's a flat
Ah,
earther
yeah.
eclipse, because that's what an eclipse looks like if you're a flat earther.
Don't even get started.
Yeah, because people just
Flat earthers.
argue, 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 and don't listen. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like nobody wants to learn anymore.
Mhm.
They just want to be right.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, and unfortunately, unless you learn something, you're not going to be right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just enjoy your sports, people.
Yeah.
We have a good team. They're going to win 90 games a minimum, probably, unless the
Yeah.
whole thing explodes. So just enjoy it. And if they lose, they lose. If they
Yeah.
go lose 10 games in a row, okay, they get upset. Maybe if they lose 5 or 6 games, like they go a whole week without winning, you can be upset, but don't drag it for the whole season. Like people flipped out almost every day last year. There was somebody bitching about something. We won 92 games.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what you expect, but if you're going to bitch for 70 games and half the ones we win, you still find something wrong with what's going on, then you really got to
And
start thinking about what you're doing with yourself, because all you're doing
yeah.
is making yourself fucking miserable. And if you're going to be miserable, why do you do it? Go watch Netflix. Go watch Physical 100, the most boring reality show I've ever seen based on fitness, by the way. Have you ever seen Physical 100?
No, you were telling me about it though.
Oh, yeah.
I, I'm in the process of going through that, documentary on conspiracy theories of how MH370 disappeared. You know that
Oh, I
Malaysian
watched that.
Airlines.
I fell
Yeah,
asleep. It was boring.
I,
Yeah.
I did because I watched it at the tail end of the night. But you know,
It was not very
that
good.
those kind of things I dig. Those kind of like remember when conspiracy
I like
theories were
them.
fun? Remember them when they were fun?
Yeah. Until
You know, and
QAnon made them
now
all like about stuff.
it's like Jews with lasers on the moon.
Yeah.
Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is an idiot, whatever. But
Oh,
I used to like it.
Lauren Boebert's kid raped his girlfriend, and she's celebrating going to be a grandmother. He was 17
Whoa,
years old. She's 15. She's having a baby in April. And
wow,
she's like, I'm going to be a 36-year-old grandma. It's like, your kid raped a 15-year-old girl.
wow.
No, he hasn't been charged. Nobody's really delving into that aspect of things. But I'm sorry, she was 15, probably 14 actually. If she's going to be, 9 months is in April, it's quite possible she was a 14-year-old and he was 16 years old. And I know people have this Romeo and Juliet law, which is bullshit, but She could not give consent. It is
Yeah.
fucking rape.
All right.
And I'm
Well,
sorry.
we'll go back to baseball. Sorry, I
Get back to
delved
baseball.
into I delved into
Yeah.
like the shitty aspect of humanity.
Anyway.
Yeah. Be a fan. Be a
Yeah, just
fan.
be a
Don't be a
fan.
dick. Yeah.
Like, you know, if you get to go to a game in a different stadium this year, go to a game in a different stadium. You know,
Yeah.
watch a different team.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us are so locked into watching our teams. Watch some other teams play.
Yeah.
Watch
And
how
then,
the other
and then
players.
realize that there's possibly some other garbage out there. You're like, oh, maybe we're not so bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the reason baseball did this more balanced schedule, it's going to be a nightmare for traveling for the West, apparently, but whatever. Yeah. It's because they want baseball. They want everybody in these cities to see all the players.
All the players. Yeah.
We were the only, one of the only leagues that you couldn't see everybody at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL is a bit different because they got too many teams for the amount of games they play. But
yeah, there's 16
over
games.
time. You still see that. You'll still see.
You play your division home and away, so that's 6 games right there, and then there's 10 games left where you got to cover 28 teams. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Yeah, but eventually you might see them all. But the whole thing is enjoy the game for the game, especially now that it's going to be increasing the pace. I think people who are shitting on the increase of pace of play, they think, well, it's just not letting the game be itself. You're just getting rid of all the extra crap.
Yeah.
Like that you don't need. So
this has been an hour and a half.
It's
been an hour and a half, and it's pee time for Greg.
Oh, that's what it is.
It's pee time for Greg. It's an hour and a half. I gotta go.
Catheter. Get you a catheter.
I know.
For the next one. That should be what
unless.
Oh yeah, I haven't had any coffee.
No, it's not gonna work. Anyway, kids, thanks for listening.
Fun. Hope to see you next week. Catch us on all the places. Apparently, though, you should know this, Greg. Apparently, not on Spotify. We have not been on Spotify for.
No. I honestly have been so freaking busy that my stuff is still backloaded. That I still actually literally have to hit send to load it up. So you're gonna see in the next day a bunch of stuff go up.
Because I was gonna say I was looking at it the other day, and it's all like you and Dave from 2018 when I was in China. That's the last stuff.
No, and that's the thing. Like all the stuff from last year, it's all backloaded, and I've got to get it in.
So for now, for those of you who can catch us,
iHeartRadio,
YouTube, iHeartRadio, yeah. Throw us on YouTube.
And then,
I think that's a good one to get.
And then Spotify will be in like about a day or so.
Yeah, but if you want to leave us comments. Put us on YouTube, and you can leave the comments there. I would like to start responding to some of these comments and get us out there so more people can watch us. I'm in the throes of trying to get us hooked up a little bit with some of the other podcasts we have going on in the city. So I would like to get us kind of on there so they can see us and we can be guests on their shows and expand their base. And we're going to be the biggest show they've ever seen.
Okay. It's pee time.
How much coffee did you drink? My goodness.
No, it's because I stuttered it up beforehand. Like there's been 2 energy drinks today.
You know, I was thinking at some point I want to get together with you and learn how to use this program. We got to take that 365 Sportcast. I want to learn how to use this system.